Hi there, folks. Yeah, well, have you heard of this wonderful term called agility quotient? I mean, just if you haven't got enough with IQ and then there's EQ, now there's AQ, agility quotient. Well, first of all, what is so important about agility? And there's a story I want to share with you. It was one of my friends many years ago. She's in theater, does live acting, and I was chatting to her and I said, "She was, what happens when you forget your lines?" She says, the one thing we've learned in theatre is that when you forget your lines, is to accept it immediately. The moment you resist it, you're going to be stumbling. So you accept it immediately and then you ad lib. And you start dancing with your partner who maybe they've forgotten their lines or whatever the case may be, but they join in with you. And before you know it, there's this dance. And sometimes it turns out way better than we expected. And I kind of feel this is what agility is about. It's about improvising in the moment. We've got to sit and something comes at us. We've got to now figure out a way forward, and it may not have been what we expected. So agility is to step out of what we expect. So here's some questions for you that I'd like to ask you, and maybe you can answer for yourself, and it might give you a clue as to whether you're pretty agile or not. So the first question is, are you able to accept what is in the moment? Now, just to gauge, accepting when things don't go right, are you able to accept it? What are indicators that you're not accepting it? Well, for me, it is when we start blaming, naming, and shaming, either ourselves or people out there. It is that discharge of pain, as Brené Brown talks about it, when we are blaming. So for me, accepting what is when we avoid the blame game. We do not blame anyone, including ourselves. And through that acceptance, we can go to the next question. Are you able to accept the pain and the discomfort of that moment? Because so often agility is required when it's a painful or discomforting moment. Things may not be working out right. We may fear, sort of rejection, or we may fear failure, all these things that happen when things don't go according to plan. So it is about, am I able to work with the discomfort and with the pain? And what happens in this process is that avoidance prevents us from being agile and from being like water, going not with the flow, but being the water, where we can actually work with this discomfort. And through that discomfort, we discover something brand new. Third question is, when things do go wrong in your life, how do you perceive it? When things go wrong, do you see yourself as a failure, or do you see life as hopeless? There's no point. And mostly when we have these things that go wrong in our life, we can go to this I'm a failure syndrome. And I feel when we have the agile mind, agility is when we look at it from a different perspective and we go, I made a mistake. And mostly when we are doing something brand new, we make mistakes. And I feel with an agile mind, we will continue to go back there again and explore, use those mistakes as teachers. But when we're kind of in a fixed mindset, when we're not as agile, we might avoid going to make that mistake again, or be so scared of making that mistake again, we stay in the same place. Fourth question, are you able to learn new skills when required? I feel this is really important, especially with technology coming in, the fourth industrial revolution, AI, Internet of Things. I've had to learn so much. 4 years ago, if you asked me, do you know what you need a vlogging camera, you need the right lighting equipment, the editing software, I would have gone, oh no, I don't know any of that. It is about learning, and I feel learning new skills around your passion, especially if you are passionate about what you do, you have more of an agile mind, because you have that pull, that desire to want to go out there and learn new skills to improve what you love doing. And I feel, especially in this day and age, if we get stuck into this is only my job and there's nothing else I'm prepared to do, then you will get left behind. But if you're prepared to learn new skills, I feel this is vital in terms of an agile mind. A very important question is, are you able to accept other people's points of views? And I feel this is vital. If we cannot even change our mindset on how we think, and we only think our point of view is the only right way, we're going to make great mistakes, especially in this modern day world where things are so complex. And in order for us to understand a solution, we might have to step out of our own way of thinking. So the ability to listen to other people's point of views in whatever capacity, work or personal, I think and I feel is vital. There is something that I read somewhere, and it's, the studies have shown that it is perfectly safe to listen to a different point of view. And I feel it is all about understanding. You don't necessarily have to now agree with everybody else. But so often, if we have our open mind and we see it from a different perspective, we might learn something through it, and it might help us through the twists and turns. And I feel the next question, it's all about our ability to deal with the cultural aspect of things, different corporates, different cultures. Are you able to adapt and be agile enough within your customers' culture, understand their culture? Not only that, not get stuck in your own business culture, but I feel it's also equally important is this agility around in our personal capacities, around other people's races, religion, gender. Are you open to different aspects of that? Because I feel if we get stuck again in a fixed viewing point, we can limit ourselves to relationships, we can limit ourselves to this interconnectedness between people. And finally, as you kind of work with all of these things, I suppose the next question is, the last question, is are you able to connect the dots? And I feel this is why it is so important to follow all the other questions, because as we open our mind, we kind of see a bigger picture, we can connect the dots. I'll give you a practical example. My background as a CA, when I began working with accounting, I really had no idea, what the emotional reasons were for people going into debt. Now that I've spent time on the EQ side of things, learned so much around psychology, I've seen how the dots between psychology, neuroscience, and even indeed spirituality are all coming together. But not only that, how all of this influences our spending. So now I've got an understanding of finance, or should I say financial intelligence, and how all the dots connect. And I feel this has really opened up my mind in practical terms for you in the business place. Are you seeing the bigger picture with other teams, other departments, breaking down that silo effect? That means having to maybe understand other teams and departments' culture. So these are just some questions, folks, for you to ponder. It might gauge for you where areas you would like to maybe work with to become more agile, especially as we head into the next year, where I think things aren't going to slow down, they're going to speed up even more. And until we chat again, folks, take care and stay aware.